everyone! So today it is very rainy and gloomy, so I wanted to do something fun. And I've been meaning to make a video about the books that I read in high school for a long time, but I didn't want to do like a typical boring sit-down video. So I decided to do a tier ranking video. This will be my first one. I love watching these. I think they're so much fun. And I really had a lot of fun making this, so I really hope you enjoy seeing all the books that I read throughout my 4 years of high school. Okay, so here we go. I have 30 books here, and the rankings are God tier, the best books. Really liked it. You know, it wasn't my absolute favorite, but I really liked it, and I'm happy I read it. Fine, okay, like just kind of meh in the middle. Hated it. There are quite a few books on here of that. And books that I severely need to reread, because some of these books, my adolescent brain was not equipped to read at the time that I was made to read them. And I know that I did not either understand them properly or take away what I was supposed to take away from them. So I definitely need to reread some of these. I am not going in order of this order. I'm going in order as best as I can remember of the grades. So from 9th grade to 12th grade, that's how my high school was set up. So let's see. The first book is Romeo and Juliet. I read this in 9th grade. I really liked it. This was my first Shakespeare that I ever read, and I am more of a Shakespeare tragedy person than a comedy person, and I just really remember liking it. I really hated my 9th grade English teacher, and this was the only book that we read with her that I can say that I actually enjoyed. I just really liked it. And we watched that weird movie adaptation of it that was like a modern retelling. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it is. If I remember, I'll put it somewhere on the screen, but it was just wild, and I remember none of us could believe that she actually let us watch it because it was just so wild. But anyway, I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that that was my first Shakespeare. So then, let's see, what did I read in 9th grade? Oh, Ayn Rand's Anthem. Hated it. I hate Ayn Rand. Not a fan of her politics. Do not like Anthem. And I just hated the whole experience. Thank God it was a short book. Then we read The Secret Life of Bees. I am going to put this in need to reread because I remember absolutely nothing about it. I do remember that at the time I really didn't like it. I mean, I've checked the ratings on Goodreads and they are quite high. And I think this is like more of a historical fiction novel meant for like adults and like adult book clubs, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of book. So I feel like I would appreciate it way more if I reread it now. So eventually I will reread this because I don't remember anything about it. And looking at the synopsis, I think I might actually like it. It's about this girl and her Black caretaker in the South who for some reason have to run away, and then they go to live with these 3 Black women beekeepers. Sounds really interesting. I mean, it sounds like something I would pick up now, so I hope I like it when I reread it. And then, what did we read? Lord of the Flies. Hated it. This is one of the worst classics in the world. It was awful. I know a lot of people feel the same way. It was just not good. And it did not add anything good to my life. That's all I want to say about that. Bless Me Ultima. I think this was a fine book. So the only thing I remember about Bless Me Ultima is that it's set in New Mexico and it follows this little boy, and basically he finds this fish, he worships it, and it's like, I don't know, I remember it being really weird, but I also remember having like thoughts about religion when I was reading it and like how we practice different religions and like what religion meant to me. So I think it was a good book. Ah, yes, I hated Of Mice and Men. I don't think I'm a Steinbeck person, to be honest. I really, really hated this whole book. I remember it very clearly, actually. I remember the whole thing. I wish I didn't. It was not enjoyable. It was very depressing. And I just didn't enjoy reading it at all. Okay, I think the last two we read, Fahrenheit 451, God tier, loved it. I mean, I just loved this book. Ray Bradbury is a great, great writer. I think I loved it because it's sci-fi and that's just what I love, you know? And it's about books, which also I love. So it's kind of made for me. And I think it's one of the greatest dystopians ever written. We actually never read 1984 in school. I read that in 2020, actually. So very recently, but this is what we read instead, and I'm very happy we did because I love it and it's great. And then the last book we read was To Kill a Mockingbird. I really liked this. I remember the movie more clearly because at the time, at least where I am, I was like 13, 14 in ninth grade. I think it might have been a little bit of like an older level than what I was at least equipped to read at that age. But I remember liking it. Maybe I should put it in need to reread. But I remember the story. I remember all of it. Okay, I'll leave it there. Okay, so let's go to 10th grade. I read Pride and Prejudice in 10th grade. I remember this so clearly. I loved it. I remember my teacher was so happy because I was like one of the only people who loved it. And she loved it. It was like her favorite book. And we kind of bonded over that. I loved this. I could not get over it. We watched the movie in class and I was so happy. It's still one of my favorite books of all time. It's just, I'm so glad that we got to read this in high school. And then we actually read two Shakespeares in 10th grade. Both comedies? Yeah, both comedies. We read Much Ado About Nothing, hated it. Sorry. It was just stupid. Like, okay, I don't want to bash anyone who likes this. Absolutely not. If you like this, I am so happy. I just don't think I'm a Shakespeare comedy person. I like his tragedies more. And I just felt like this was totally meaningless. And A Midsummer Night's Dream was just fine. I didn't hate it like Much Ado About Nothing, but I didn't like it. I did not enjoy it. I just thought it was fine. But I think at the time I also appreciated like, okay, this is a really famous Shakespeare work and I appreciated that aspect of it. And I remember more of it than Much Ado About Nothing, so I think it fits fine in this tier. And then we read Animal Farm. Okay, guys. I really hate this book. I remember it very well. I know the point of it. I know. I just think that 1984 is so much better and makes the point so much better. I just didn't like the allegory of the animals. I totally understand why people like this and why it is such a well-loved and really well-read classic. I totally understand. It just was not for me. Was not my cup of tea. What else did we read? Catcher in the Rye. I think this was fine. I remember being really confused while reading it. I think we read this quite fast, and I remember just being really confused about it, and also kind of feeling like nothing was happening, and maybe the discussions that we were having about like Holden's mental health weren't really that great. Because I remember wanting to talk about it, but just feeling like I would be shut down about like the mental health aspects of it. I don't know. I feel like, what did he call people? He called people phonies. I just thought that was stupid. I don't know. It was fine. I liked it fine. It was okay. Like, I did not hate it by any means. I liked it. But I did not really like it. So there you go. Is that it that we read for 10th grade? I guess we didn't read that much. We did spend a lot of time on the Shakespeare because that takes long to read and analyze. I think we read 12 Angry Men, which was just fine. I don't really remember much about it. It's a play. It's pretty famous. It's a play about a jury. I don't remember the case that they're deliberating over at all, but I remember enough that I know I don't want to reread it because I don't think I would like it any more now than I did back then. Okay, now let's get to 11th grade where I took AP Language, and I despised my teacher for this. Mr. Markowitz, if you're out there, you really ruined that year for me. We read a lot of books that totally went over my head at the time, which is not his fault, it's mine. But first, let's go to a good one. The Great Gatsby. I really liked this. I remember my teacher when I brought up that, oh, maybe Nick, is in love with Gatsby. He's like, no, it's not gay. It's like, well, why can't it be gay? Why isn't this allowed? So, okay, thanks for being a homophobe. I really liked this book. I thought it was really different from anything I had read for school so far, and it also took place on Long Island where I grew up, so that was fun, and I just remember really liking it. And then we read The Color Purple, which I need to reread. I remember hating it, but I also don't remember anything that happens. I am 99.9% sure that I didn't understand anything that they were saying because of how it's written. It's written in African American vernacular English. And I don't think that my teacher did a good job explaining that to us. He did not help us understand that at all. I grew up in a very white town, and I was not exposed to that. And I just wish that we had been taught to understand it better so that maybe I could actually understand the book at that age. But I am definitely going to reread this. I really need to, for many reasons, but it is such a classic and I need to reread it and give it the appreciation it deserves. And then we read Macbeth, which is God tier. I love it. It's my favorite Shakespeare. I absolutely love it. And I also remember that my teacher told us that The Lion King is based on Macbeth, and no, it is not. It is based on Hamlet. So he is a high school language arts, AP language arts teacher, and he doesn't even know that. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop, but he was just so aggravating. But I loved Macbeth when I read it, so at least he didn't take that away from me. You see what I mean? I love Shakespeare tragedies. Then we read The Death of a Salesman, which I hated. It's a play, and it was a dumb play. I just hated it. I don't remember what happens, but I just remember it being very boring. It's about this salesman who, I think at the end he tries to kill his wife or something. I don't know. And then he kills him. I have no idea. I don't know. I just didn't like it. And we also read A Streetcar Named Desire, which I remember hating at the time. I think because of my teacher. But I'm going to leave it there because I have no desire to reread it. And then we read Brave New World. I thought this was just okay. I mean, comparing it to Fahrenheit 451, which I absolutely loved, I thought this was just okay. I think that maybe it was also confusing to me. I just wasn't capable of understanding it at that time. Because it was kind of, not dense, but not written in as accessible a way as Fahrenheit 451, if you know what I mean. It was fine. Yeah, but not the best dystopian, I think. And then we read The Things They Carried. I really liked this. This is a book about a Vietnam soldier. I don't really remember much of the story, but I remember really, really liking it. And I thought it was, again, very different from most of the things we read. It dealt with a part of history that we don't really cover as much in depth as we should in American high schools, and I think it was really good. And then we read Night, which is God tier. It's beautiful and heartbreaking about the concentration camps. It was beautiful. And I'm very glad we got to read this. I'm really glad that my teacher chose this. Oh wait, there's another one. We read Their Eyes Are Watching God, which I need to reread. Can you see a pattern here? This, again, I remember struggling so much with the language that this book was written in and wanting to understand it, but I just couldn't at the time. So I 100% need to reread this. And now let's go to my senior year of high school. I took AP Lit. This class was so much fun. My teacher was in his last year of teaching. He was going to retire, so he just did not care at all. And he was so much fun. We read a lot of great books, and he was a great teacher. He really knew how to analyze stuff in a really meaningful way and really get through to 12th graders, you know? So I really liked him. Frankenstein, God tier. I loved it. I loved it. I can't really say any more than that. I love it. It's so good. We read Fences, which I don't really remember loving. I thought it was okay, but I'm glad we read it. I mean, again, it's very different from most of the things that we read in the past. I should watch the movie. I think I need to watch the movie because I think I would like it better. I'm not a play person in general. It doesn't matter what it's about. King Lear, hated. Okay, I know I said I like Shakespeare tragedies, but hear me out. This year of high school, we were supposed to read Hamlet, and I was so hyped. I was so excited to read Hamlet, and then at the last minute, he changed, and he was like, okay, we're gonna read King Lear. It's like, no, I wanted to read Hamlet, so I was really mad about it and just bitter the whole time, and I did not like King Lear at all. And we read A Doll's House. It was fine. I don't remember anything about it. Sorry. It is translated from Norwegian, I think, which is cool. It's another play. It's historical. I really don't remember much about it. I'm pretty sure it's like feminist, which is cool, but I don't remember. Things Fall Apart. I would put I don't know, I really liked this. I'm gonna put it in this tier. I loved it. I thought it was so interesting, so good. And again, I'm really glad that at least my teacher in 12th grade picked a lot more diverse reads than we read in the other years. So I'm really grateful about that. And then Wit, which is, I'm gonna put it in really liked because it was so sad. It's not like a favorite book of mine, but it is a play about a woman who, I think she was an English professor or something, and she had really aggressive ovarian cancer, and it's about her dealing with that fact and her musings about life and death, and I remember loving it. Maybe it's God tier, I don't know. But you guys get it. I really liked it, and I really recommend this. It's a play, but it's written, I felt like it was way more accessible to me, because I feel like sometimes plays are hard to read because they're meant to be performed. So I thought this was really good. And then we read Sula, which I need to reread, because, not because I don't know, it was my first Toni Morrison. I remember there were a couple scenes in there that even as a 12th grader, I felt like were really disturbing. There were some sexual scenes that other students were probably equipped to handle it, but at that time I was definitely not. And there were some just really gross scenes. I understand why they were in the book. I don't want to say them because they're actually really gross. I remember it very clearly, but I don't really remember anything else about the book. I don't even remember the plot. So I need to reread this, or I would love to read another Toni Morrison book. So if you guys have an example of a Toni Morrison book that you think would be better to start out with than Sula, or maybe a book that you think I would like better, then please let me know, because I really want to give Toni Morrison another shot, absolutely. Alright guys, so this is my high school reading tier list. There was 30 books here, and yeah, I mean, I think I have a pretty good spread here. It's pretty almost equal. A lot of them I didn't like, but a lot of them I did like. So I think it's pretty equal, actually, which is fun to see. That makes me a bit happy because, high school was not a great time for me. So I think, this is fun. This is fun to look back and see what books we read and kind of remember how I felt reading all of these. It's nice. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did, and if you read any of the same books as I did in school, please let me know, or let me know what your favorite book was that you read during high school. I'd love to hear about it. So if you liked this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos every Wednesday and Saturday. I'll see you next time. Bye!